start with story number 1. Story 1. The Enigmatic Boundary Waters. The Boundary Waters is an awe-inspiring wilderness with thousands of interconnected lakes that stretch between Minnesota and Canada. As an adventurous soul seeking solace in nature, I embarked on a canoeing and camping expedition that promised 2 weeks of living off the land and embracing the untamed beauty of this vast expanse. Our journey had no fixed itinerary. We simply planned to navigate, camp, fish, and revel in the serenity of the wilderness. Armed with GPS and a satellite phone for emergencies, we felt ready for whatever challenges the Boundary Waters had in store. About a week into our expedition, we found ourselves in the center of a long and narrow lake, far from civilization. It was an extraordinary sight, the shimmering water reflecting the towering trees, and the air filled with the symphony of nature. However, nature can be unpredictable, and that evening, a sudden storm brewed on the horizon. The waves grew with ferocity, swelling to 2 feet or more, far too much for our small canoes to handle. Fearing for our safety, we sought refuge on a random clearing near the shore. With urgency, we set up camp, determined to ride out the storm without being utterly thrashed by the rain and winds. Huddled together, the relentless rain drumming on our tents, a sense of unease settled upon us. It was as though the wilderness itself was watching, as if some enigmatic force lingered just beyond the veil of darkness. We waited for morning, hoping the storm would pass, and we could resume our tranquil adventure. The next day, the storm finally ceased, leaving us with renewed determination to continue our journey. We decided to walk up the coast of the lake, about 200 feet from our camp, in search of a perfect fishing spot. As we strolled through the wilderness, nature seemed to have regained its composure, offering us a breathtaking panorama. However, the beauty of the landscape was soon eclipsed by an eerie discovery. We stumbled upon another campsite, but it was unlike any campsite we had seen before. It was a scene of destruction, torn clothes, shattered gear, and an unsettling aura of chaos. Our initial assumption was a possible bear attack, a common occurrence in these wild parts. Yet, as we examined the aftermath, we couldn't make sense of the situation. The camp's garbage was still hoisted high in a tree to keep it safe from bears, but it had been violently ripped open. The most perplexing part was the condition of the gear. Half of it was destroyed, while the other half remained untouched. We couldn't fathom why someone would leave everything behind, half of it ruined, and half of it inexplicably intact. We considered the possibility of a human encounter, but there were no signs of anyone around. It seemed as though the camp was abandoned in a state of haste and panic, leaving us with more questions than answers. In the end, we decided to move on, leaving behind the enigma that lingered in that clearing. The haunting experience stayed with us throughout the remainder of our expedition, leaving us with a profound sense of respect for the wilderness and its mysteries. Let's go to story number 2.
Story 2. The Desert's Haunting Lights. The deserts of Central Australia is a vast expanse of arid beauty, both mesmerizing and haunting in its emptiness. On one occasion, I found myself driving a bus through this remote region, carrying a group of passengers, including Aboriginal elder women. We were on a 5-day charter, picking up the elder women to take them for their women's business health checks. The journey took us through the desert, over 500 kilometers from the nearest town, truly in the middle of nowhere. On one particular day, we had to make a stop in a place called Mintabi, an opal mining area in South Australia. We arrived there late, which meant that the return journey to our overnight stay would stretch into the darkness of the night. As the bus traversed the lonely desert dirt road, the moon cast an eerie glow over the desert landscape. It was an otherworldly sight, with the occasional flicker of stars above us. However, amidst the vast emptiness, I noticed a single headlight approaching in the distance. At first, it didn't strike me as unusual, as it's not uncommon to spot vehicles in these remote areas. But as I drew closer, something strange happened. The light vanished, as though swallowed by the darkness, leaving me puzzled and a little unnerved. My passengers, including the Aboriginal elder women, noticed the abrupt disappearance too.
they urged me not to stop and to keep going without pause. Their concern was palpable, and they spoke hurriedly in their native language. Curiosity gnawed at me, but I respected their unease and continued driving until we reached our destination. Once we had arrived, I asked some of the women about the mysterious headlight. Their faces turned grave, and they asked me to recount everything I saw and where it happened. As I described the incident, the women exchanged anxious glances. Their response sent shivers down my spine. "Driver, we're so lucky you didn't stop. If you did, none of us would have ever been seen again. We'd all be gone." I pressed them for an explanation, but they shook their heads, refusing to talk further about the matter. It seemed as though they were well aware of something inexplicable in these desert lands, something far beyond our understanding. The incident stayed with me, and upon further research, I learned about the Min Min lights. These spectral lights are said to appear in the outback, leading travelers astray and luring them into the desolate unknown. Whether or not what I saw that night was related to these lights, I couldn't say, but I found myself respecting the warnings of the Aboriginal elder women and the mysteries that these ancient lands concealed. Are you ready for story number 3? Story 3. The Desk in the Wilderness. Montana and Wyoming are regions known for their rugged beauty, pristine wilderness, and isolated landscapes. I had the opportunity to explore this area alongside my cousin, a hydrologist. As a fellow adventurer, I eagerly joined her on a journey that promised both exploration and adventure. My cousin's expertise in hydrology required her to ride out to the most remote locations to test streams and snow runoff for contaminants. It was an exhilarating opportunity to venture into the untouched corners of this wilderness. During our expedition, we found ourselves far from any sign of human habitation, surrounded only by the vastness of nature. After a day of testing and collecting data, my cousin had an idea to explore a side path, leading us further away from our intended route. Curious and open to new experiences, I followed her, trusting her instincts and excitement. This side journey took us 2 hours away from our main path, leading us deeper into the wilderness. Eventually, we arrived at a secluded clearing, an oasis of calm amidst the wild surroundings. To my surprise, my cousin revealed a peculiar sight of a coil of wire protruding from the ground. It trailed through the underbrush and disappeared among the trees. As we followed the wire's path, it led us to a startling discovery of a desk standing alone in the heart of the wilderness. This desk looked like something straight out of a schoolteacher's classroom, with a metal base and a plastic top. But what struck us the most was an electrical outlet mounted on the side of the desk. It was bewildering because there was a functioning outlet in the middle of nowhere, with no signs of human activity or civilization nearby. We were both astounded and perplexed. It seemed impossible for an outlet to be functional without any source of power nearby. As we stood there, contemplating the enigma before us, my cousin reached for her rechargeable radio, the kind that could be powered by winding up a crank. With trepidation, she plugged the radio into the outlet, and to our astonishment, it powered up and began emitting static. It was as though this desk in the wilderness was connected to an unseen source of energy. Neither of us could comprehend what we had stumbled upon. How could a desk with a functioning outlet be out here, where there were no signs of human civilization for miles? We were left with more questions than answers, unable to explain the strange phenomenon before us. In the end, we decided to leave the enigmatic desk and its mysterious electrical outlet untouched. We continued our journey, our minds filled with wonder and curiosity about the untamed wilderness and the secrets it holds. In my conclusion, these tales of unexplained encounters in the wild serve as a reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. From the haunting depths of the Boundary Waters to the bewitching lights in the Australian desert and the enigmatic desk in the Montana, Wyoming wilderness, there are secrets that nature keeps close to its heart. As we venture further into the wilderness, let us embrace the wonder of the unknown and remain humbled by the mysteries that continue to captivate us. Our world is vast, filled with enigmas and unexplained phenomena, waiting to be uncovered by the intrepid souls who dare to explore the untamed frontiers.